Her laughter still rings inside my head, not the easy kind that follows a joke, but the cruel, slicing sort that cuts deeper than any argument. "You always aimed so high," she said, sipping her wine with the casual finality of someone delivering judgment. Then, smiling as if pity were a victory, she added that she'd always expected me to fail. I kept my mouth shut. I studied the way her smile tightened, the little flare in her eyes when she believed she'd won. She assumed I was trapped, jobless, powerless, a man emptied of direction. That night she scrolled through her phone beside me, murmuring to someone she believed I couldn't hear. I lay staring at the ceiling, counting the seconds until something inside me snapped, a soft, loyal piece of myself giving way. Then a notification lit the room, a message I wasn't meant to see. The words danced in the phone's glow, intimate and triumphant, that he was finally not in the picture, that it wouldn't be long until it was official. I didn't flinch. I hardly breathed. I only let that pale screen etch itself into my memory. 2 weeks later she filed for divorce. No theatrics, no tears, everything executed with the cool efficiency of someone who'd already mapped the outcome. She had the forms ready, aligned herself with a partner from her firm, the man whose messages she hid beneath false names. When she pushed the paperwork across the table, her face was composed, professional charity wrapped around ruthless intent. "It's better this way," she said. "You'll be free. I'll move on." Those words hung in the air like the aftertaste of poison. She didn't mean move on. She meant upgrade. I nodded and signed. I accepted every demand she placed before me. Property, accounts, assets. She believed my quiet was capitulation. She failed to understand that my silence was a weapon. She never asked about, never even suspected, the patent I had sold months earlier. $167 million had been wired into accounts she could not touch, tucked into trusts of which she had no knowledge. She thought she had left me destitute. Instead, she had polished me into something sharper and cleaner. Her betrayal was clinical, precise. I resolved to repay it in kind. I performed the role she expected, the jilted husband packing his things. I let her attorney win every clause, took every concession. I imagined them celebrating in their law firm, toasting her upgrade. All the while I was recording everything. Phone logs, hotel reservations, transfers between her and him, their secret conference weekends. Each scrap cataloged, copied, secured. Not because I needed proof right then, but because possession of the truth gave me back control. She assumed I was too shattered to notice, too beaten to respond. She was wrong. She read my calm for surrender. That was error number 1. Her second miscalculation was dismissing the stillness that lay between us. She never wondered why I didn't argue or demand answers. She craved spectacle, a fight, a scene, some vindication for her cruelty. Instead, I offered nothing. I became a blank in her story, and blanks have a way of coming back to fill pages. 3 months after our divorce was finalized, I ran into her, or at least that's what she believed. It was a sleepy afternoon in a small cafe. Sunlight moved slowly across the tables. She looked immaculate in that hollow way people do when betrayal becomes their polish. He sat beside her, her new confidant, the colleague she'd pinned her future on. I set a slim folder on their table and said nothing. He knitted his brow. She stared, puzzled. Inside were bank records, photographs, logs, a chronicle of their long-running affair. Their hidden world had been made public. Her voice broke first. "Why are you—" I cut her off with a smile that felt clinical. "You always said I'd fail. You were wrong." I let the last sheet fall open. The wire transfer, $167 million, my signature, on every document. Color leached from her face. His fingers shook. Around us, people sipped and chatted, unaware, while the atmosphere at that table turned venomous. They had celebrated victory. Instead, they faced exposure. She reached for damage control. The lawyer in her reflexively stepped forward. "This can be handled," he said. "We can negotiate." I leaned in, my tone controlled because it didn't need to rise. You filed. You took everything you believed I owned. Now you see you were only ever picking at leftovers." Her partner shifted, sweat beading at his collar. She glanced at him, then back at me, panic cracking her composed facade. "I signed away everything," I whispered, "because I wanted you out of my life. Now you have him, and nothing else." I left the folder where it lay and walked away without a backward glance. The ragged sound of her breathing, quick and shallow, was the last tether snapping between us. Weeks have gone by. She hasn't reached out. News travels fast in legal circles, and her standing is quietly unraveling. I don't toast this outcome. There is no revelry for me. Revenge, for me, is muted. No pleading, no pity. Simply the knowledge that I walked off knowing the game was won while they were only just discovering their loss. She once laughed at my supposed ruin. Now I smile softly to myself, because I never was ruined.